Go. 1, 2, 3. Good afternoon, ma'am.
We are the reporter of Chapter 5, Western Discovery and Conquest. I am Nikki Jane Argentine.
And I am Rafael Argentine.
And I am Rosalino Blaganto Jr. And I am Division F.
And let's start.
Chapter 5, Western Discovery and Conquest. Long before Magellan was born, the Philippines had been populated by our Filipino ancestors. The coming of Magellan to Philippine shores in 1521 was a discovery to Occidental peoples. But to Filipinos, it was more of a discovery. European trade with Asia. Since time immemorial, Asian products, notably silk and spices, found their way into European markets through several caravan and maritime routes. The Orient then was a region of mystery to the Europeans, who were steered by wondrous tales of Asia's fabulous witches told by the Crusaders and by the medieval travelers. Marco Polo, Father John of Plano, Cartagena, Father William of Brobrac, Father Odoric of Ferdinoni, and Father Giovanni Marignoli. Geographical discoveries and explorations. The fall of Constantinople on 1453 and the emergence of the Ottoman Turks closed the former trade routes to the east. Hence, the bold navigators of Europe began to place new routes across the seas.
And 1, 2, 3, go.
Prince Henry and the Prince Henry, the navigator, Portuguese sea captain, discovered the new lands. In 1441, Antonio Gonzalves rounded the Cape Blanco, Africa, and brought the first Negro slaves to Europe. In 1445, Dinis Fernandez discovered the Cape Verde Islands. In 1487, Bartolome Diaz discovered the Cape of Good Hope. In 1498, Vasco da Gama reached the Calicut in India. After rounding the Cape, thereby opening the eastern road to the Orient. And on October 12, 1492, Columbus discovered America for Spain. On September 25, in 1513, Balboa discovered the Pacific Ocean, calling the South Sea.
Go. Ferdinand Galian, born in 1480 in the town of Pantijibarca, province of Mindo, Portugal. He was educated at the King's Court in Lisbon, where he also served as page of Queen Leonora. In 1505, when he was 23 years old, he joined the Portuguese expedition to the east led by Francisco de Almeida, first Portuguese viceroy of India. It was in the Battle of Malacca, 1511, where he saved the life of his cousin and close friend Francisco Serrano. interrogated. Sorry? He got the judge of the Portuguese king Miguelian again returned to Lisbon, where he pored over old maps and crystallized his belief in a westward route to the east. Only the one man believed in Magellan idea that a westward route to the Moluccas called intrigue, portally violent, temperated man. Magellan goes to Spain. He renounced his Portuguese citizenship and went to Spain.
The plate and the crow. The expedition consisted of 5 ships and 265 men. Two-thirds were Spaniards and the rest were foreign mariners. Complying with his Malay slaves, unique of Malak, his interpreter of the expedition, Alvaro de Mesquita.
Yes,
His nephew Pedro de Valderrama. Let's say of Dane and Antonio Pigafetta, Meditation Night, and connected and Eduardo Barbosa, his brother-in-law. They voyaged and begins on August 10, 1519, and he hosted shells and historic voyage begins on September 20. They reached the Canaries on September 26. Strengthening across the Atlantic, he landed on the South American coast now. Pernambuco of Brazil on November 29.
The Mutiny. December 13, Magellan resumed his voyage, reaching Rio de Janeiro. He named it Santa Lucia because he landed there as Santa Lucia's Day. At last, he anchored at Port San Julian on March 31, 1520. On the night of Palm Sunday, April 1, a mutiny broke out. The ringleaders were Cruzada, captain of the Concepcion, Mendoza, captain of the Victoria, and Cartagena, whom Magellan deposed as captain of San Antonio. During the Atlantic voyage for insubordination, Juan Sebastian de Elcano joined the mutiny. Discovery of the Strait of Magellan. He left the port of San Julian, sailing southward. The Santiago was wrecked by a violent squall with 4 remaining ships he sailed on. On October 21, 1520, he discovered the strait which now bears his name. He called it the Strait of All Saints. While sailing through the strait, the San Antonio, piloted by Esteban Gomez, a Portuguese, deserted on the night of November 20 and returned to Spain. Crossing the Pacific with only 3 ships, on November 28, Magellan begins his trans-Pacific voyage which lasted 3 months and 20 days. Death, sickness, and hunger ruled the mast of his fleet. Provisions ran low and man devoured worms, rats, and sawdust and water-soaked leather. Most of the crew were stricken with scurvy. 19 men died and 13 became too ill to work. But Magellan boldly sailed on. In mid-ocean, he found 2 barren and uninhabited islets, which he called Unfortunate Islands. Magellan in Guam. On March 6, 1521, Magellan reached Guam. The natives called Chamores supplied his famished men and fresh water and provisions. At first, Magellan called the islands Guam and those nearby the islands of sails. Because of the numerous sailboats along the coast, later he changed the name to Landrones Islands because the natives stole a boat from his flagship. Rediscovery of the Philippines. From Guam, Magellan continued his voyage westward. At dawn of Saturday, March 6, 1521, he saw above the horizon of towering heights of summer. This was the rediscovery of the Philippines. The following day, Magellan landed in the small uninhabited islet of Hamonhon at the mouth of Leyte Gulf. On March 18, 9 friendly Filipinos from the neighboring island of Saluan arrived in a boat and hospitably gave their cargo of bananas, fish, and coconuts and palm wine to Magellan. They were at first Filipinos seen by the Spaniards.
The date of Magellan arrival. The coming of Magellan to the Philippines is such an important event that has become the subject of some controversy among the people historical. Even during this time, Magellan was controversial figure become the first of all. He was the only Portuguese, the traditional rival of Spain. In the service of the Spanish king, when he came to those islands, his trip was based by interviews, rivalries, and question mark. One of the controversies about Magellan trips was the date of his arrival in the Philippine territory. This is when he and his men saw the highest of summer in 1521. According to the date in the records, if the Pigafetta and the other survivors of Magellan expedition and saw the lands of the dawn of Saturday. March 16, 1521, previously Philippine history textbook celebrated the date. It is written down the original records.
Did the Cebuano really accept Christianity with the importance has been placed in the chronicles of Magellan voyage of the conversion of the Filipino kings and queens under Britannia's president at the time of the first mass held in the Philippines. It was claimed that because 800 Filipinos participated in the mass and underwent the ritual deep times, these were the first native convert to Christianity. However, the Filipino convert the Catholicism did not appear to last when Legazpi arrived in the Cebu in 1565. He did not find such faith among the natives. The image of the Santo Niño was accidentally found in house of the one of native leaders in Cebu, and Legazpi noted that Filos people and were ignorant of its meaning. Eventually, they have deep in state among the native idols as some good luck charm of custom of many Filipinos still follow today. The Battle of Mactan, Roha, Humagon of Sigo and other chieftain welcomed the Spaniard. Only one Filipino leader defeated the white men, and he was a fearless Lapu-Lapu king of Mactan. Magellan was arrested and wanted to crush and defeat a champion of Filipino freedom. At dawn of April 27, 1521, Magellan invaded Mactan with an result army of 60 steel-clad Spaniards in the 3 vessels and 1,000 Cebuano warriors in 3 boats. Before a battle, he boastfully told Humabon and his men to remain in their boats and to watch how the European fight. Lapu-Lapu, first Filipino hero by Wakashing Magellan, the world's first circumnavigator. Lapu-Lapu became the first Filipino fighter for freedom. To Eastern historian, he was having just another hostile native on the shore, but to Filipinos, his deserved in victory in Mactan was significant because he successfully defended his territory against Western aggression. It was its first recorded triumph of Filipino armies over invading Western force, and it drew attention of this island.
The Second Conquest of Manila, 1571. After his victory, Goti left Manila and returned to Panay. He told Legazpi of the extenses of the Muslim kingdom by the shore of Manila Bay, which was called Manila. It was a rich kingdom because of its trade with the Chinese, Bernards, Chamis, and other foreign merchants. Ito na ako matanan niya. Hindi klaro yun. The conquest Panay of knowing to the shortage of food in Cebu, Legazpi moved to Panay in 1569. On the bank of the Panay River, he founded the second Spanish settlement in the Philippines. This settlement is now the town of Panay in Capiz Province. At the beginning, the Panay Filipinos were battles, but knowing to the impossible labors of Far Juan de Alba and other Augustinian mission artists, they were pacified and became friendly to Legazpi. First Spanish settlement A Spanish settlement, the first of its kinds in the Philippines, was established in Cebu. It was in the form of a triangle with two sides and facing the sea and the third fronting the land. Triangle with the two sides and facing and the third fronting land. It was surrounded by a strong palisade and was divided by upon wells were dug to ensure a constant supply of water. A church of the Augustinian Fathers was created and in this church was given the history imagine of the child Jesus. Buildings were constructed for the soldiers.
Foundation of the City of Manila. On June 24, 1571, the feast day of Saint John the Baptist, Legazpi proclaimed Manila as the capital of the Philippines and established its city government. This date is annually celebrated until the present time as the Foundation Day of Manila. Over the ashes of Ra Sulaiman Muslim Kingdom, Legazpi built the Spanish city of Manila. Years later, King Philip II, by his royal decree of June 1, 1571, named Manila as the insigne Siempre Lil Ciudad, distinguished and ever loyal city. Later, by his royal decree of March 20, 1596, the same king conferred a beautiful coat of arms on Manila. The death of Legazpi. On August 20, 1572, Legazpi, the first Spanish governor and alilando of Philippines, died of heart attack in Manila. His death was deeply mourned by both the Spaniards and Filipinos. He had served God and the king so well, sacrificing even his own personal fortune, that he died a poor man. He worked during the 7 years of his sojourn in the Philippines, entitled him to a place among the greatest of colonial pioneers. Salcedo, last Spanish conquistador. The greatest military hero of the Spanish conquest was Captain Juan de Salcedo, worthy grandson of Legazpi. He was youthful and dashing. Mexican cavalier, he subdued the region along Laguna de Bay, discovered the gold mines in Paracol. Then going northward, he pacified Ilocandia and Cagayan. And later, in 1573, he conquered Bicolandia and Catanduanes. In recognition of his military services to the Spanish crown, he was given to Encomienda of Ilocos and was promoted to the rank of Field Marshal. His last service to Spain was saving of the Philippines from Lim Ahong invasion from 1574 to 1575. He died of fever in Vegan, March 11, 1576 at the age of 27. The cross in the conquest of the Philippines. The might of the Spanish sword and the martial exploits of Legazpi, Salcedo and other conquistadors helped much of this conquest, but without eloquent teachings and sacrificial labors of the missionaries, the Spanish colonization would not have been an enduring success, as there was but a handful of Spanish soldiers who could easily have been wiped out by the Filipinos.
The Spanish troops during the Legazpi times number of the little more than 300 in 1565, and after this time they increased to 400 in 1590 to 17,000 in 1634, and then further increased not more than 2,000 in 1707. Such a handful and soldiers could not possibly have conquered the fighter of race of Filipino totaling between the half to 1 million and in Legazpi time, and not been for the miraculous fate of conversion. The Augustinian missionary historian Martin de Rada, in the letter to the Viceroy of Mexico in 1569, reported that the early Filipino can be conveyed and adopt the faith easily, and fear with which God inspired them to breathe. For no matter how large may be the village and the dozen Spaniards to go it, the native come out immediately with their hands tied and big for peace. Moreover, the American Protestant historian proof, e.g., bound the Yale University and authority of Spanish colonization wrote the light. Then the impartial historian raised above the prejudice religion precision after the comparison with which the early year of the Spanish conquest in America, or which the first generation or two of the English settlement in the United States. The conversion and civilization of the Philippines in 40 years following Legazpi arrival must be pronounced and achieved without parallel in history. Thus apparel that the coming of the Catholic Spain to those islands prepared the Philippines for the greatest rule, that of being the door between the Christian West and the non-Christian West.
And Maura to them.
And that's all. Thank you.